Hi everyone, it's Charlie. Surprise, surprise, we just found out that there was an alternate ending to Game of Thrones Season 8, Episode 6. So there's this finale moment. They said it was going to be very different in the original version of events. So I'll explain what that is, because it involves a small change early in the season that then causes ripple effects, changing a lot of things in subsequent episodes. So if you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to get all the Game of Thrones, A Song of Ice and Fire videos. Obviously, I'll be doing videos for the Game of Thrones prequel series, the Blood Moon TV show, as we get more information about that. There's a new round of the HBO Now giveaway too. All you have to do to enter is be a subscriber and leave a comment on the video. And because there was a little bit of confusion on the last Game of Thrones prequel video that I did a couple of days ago, Dan and Dave are not involved with the prequel series creatively, any of them. There are 4 different prequel series. They won't have anything to do on any level with anything that's going on during those. Careful for spoilers for everything through Game of Thrones Season 8. So I just did this like a top 10 list. So we start in episode 3. This is where they start making changes to the original plot. Starting with number 10. Originally, Ser Jorah is going to survive the Battle of Winterfell while protecting Daenerys from all these whites while they're still trying to kill the Night King in the White Walkers. So biggest change early on is that Ser Jorah survives the battle. Heading into episode 4, number 9, everyone is celebrating their victory in the Great Hall here. Ser Jorah is lauded as a hero of the North, just like all the other major characters that survive. So he does the same type of thing that Tyrion is doing during the feast in the Great Hall. I mean, he's not being really mean to Brienne. He's off drinking with other people, leaving Daenerys by herself because he's being cheered by all these northern soldiers. Remember, Jorah is from the North. He's a Northman, but he's been living in exile this whole time because he fled Ned Stark's justice. So the North hated him. The little bear really wasn't hot on him. They sort of had that final moment together. She still winds up dying during the battle because she refused to go down to the crypts, even though she might not have been a whole lot safer down in the crypts. But because there's no leader of Bear Island anymore, it also provides this little wrinkle, potential future alternate choices for Ser Jorah. Like, would he come back and lead his people? Because they'll need a new leader of Bear Island eventually after this is all done, once Daenerys wins the Iron Throne. So when you get these Daenerys scenes of her just slowly starting to realize how alone she is, she's starting to lose the people around her, she doesn't have that circle of support, she freaks out even more when she sees Ser Jorah with his Northmen because she knows his history. So she also starts to worry that he's going to leave her as well once this is all done. Oh, he's going to go back to his people because they want him back now. And even though they didn't make it very clear during this too, it sounds like Missandei had told Daenerys that she intended to leave with Grey Worm when this was all done too. So it's a little more clear about why Daenerys is acting this way when she's talking to Jon Snow, because she starts to think that things are crumbling around her, this bid for the Iron Throne, because this is still relatively early in the season. The rest of the night goes out relatively similarly. Jon Snow still has that conversation with her freaking out, telling him not to tell anyone else. He still winds up telling the Stark children. Sansa still begins her gambit, telling Tyrion, knowing that it will cause him to go tell Varys and start to crumble support for Daenerys within her camp. So the next morning when they're having their battle planning meeting, Daenerys refuses to wait for their armies to recuperate after the last battle goes down. Relatively similar as the scene happened before, except Ser Jorah is also there now. And unlike Tyrion, she still trusts Jorah and he's in good standing with her, so she actually listens to what he says. He's cautioning her to maybe wait a hot minute before they head down to Dragonstone. So it adds this layer of unease to Daenerys when she's adamant about them going down, so that finally they decide Jon Snow still makes the same choice, doing that Ned Stark thing. We'll honor our promise we made to our queen. We'll support her with all of our forces. So when she loses Rhaegal, it hits her even harder because trusted advisor Ser Jorah was telling her not to do this. The rest of episode 4 goes down relatively similarly, with her losing Rhaegal to Euron's 360 no-scope scorpion bolts. Missandei still gets captured by Euron, but because Ser Jorah was on the boat with Tyrion and Varys in this scene here, because he's still alive at this point, he also becomes part of this subplot with Varys trying to build support for Jon Snow taking the Iron Throne over Daenerys. But at this point, still relatively early in the story, he's even more Team Daenerys than Tyrion is. So remember, Tyrion at the end of episode 4 wasn't having any of Varys' treason plot. Varys starts sending his letters out around the realm, trying to tell all the lords that Jon Snow is the true heir, basically explaining his story. He's the son of Rhaegar Targaryen and Lyanna Stark. He's the rightful heir to the Iron Throne, and a much better option for the realm than Daenerys. He's basically trying to tell everyone that Daenerys is slowly getting out of control. So at the beginning of episode 5, number 7, Daenerys' storyline is relatively similar, with her in this just really disheveled state, still broken up over Rhaegal's death. She figures out about Varys' plot, still mistakenly blames Jon Snow for everything initially, but when she goes to blame Tyrion for it next, Ser Jorah speaks up for him, and they explain that it was Varys' doing all along. So this is her starting to turn on Ser Jorah as well. Even though she still kind of trusts him, she still feels really close to him. She doesn't hate him quite as much as she hates Tyrion in this moment here. 6. Varys still tries to get Jon Snow to do a treason with him, fails, and then gets executed, making Jorah feel even more conflicted, just like Jon Snow, and they sort of have this parallel emotional arc over the next couple of episodes as Daenerys slowly spirals downward. So Ser Jorah is also slowly starting to feel conflicted about what she's doing. 5. Daenerys still hulks out on King's Landing with Drogon after she realizes she's won and the taste of victory is bitter in her mouth. She still feels completely alone because by this point in the episode, she feels like Ser Jorah isn't loyal to her anymore either. Jon Snow has already rejected their relationship, and she suspects that Tyrion has been secretly giving her bad advice this whole time on purpose in an attempt to sabotage her. So it just lands on her even harder in this moment here, where she just feels completely by herself in her victory.
And then you go to Dany. She feels empty. It wasn't what she thought it was. It's not enough.
Every single thing that's led her to this point, and there she is, alone. We've all got this part of us, that part that goes, I'm gonna put that chocolate cake down, and I'm gonna walk away. We come up against those moral conundrums all the time. I'm not saying chocolate cake is a moral conundrum. Eat as much fucking cake as you want, but those things that you wrestle with in yourself.
She knows she has won this war. It's in that moment when she makes the decision to make this personal.
Predictably, number 4, as you would expect after this, she burns King's Landing, everyone around her, to the ground, and Ser Jorah has the same reaction to it all that Jon Snow has, just like, this is all wrong, what's going on here, this is terrible, it wasn't supposed to be like this isn't what we planned. So Jorah is with Jon Snow in the thick of it while this is all going on, and he starts to realize that they really need to pump the brakes before things get even worse for the realm. We start in episode 6, number 3, just like Jon Snow, he still cares about Daenerys a lot. He still seems like he's Team Daenerys. They tried to get that across with the Jon Snow character. I'll address that in a second, because it wasn't always clear what was going on between the two of them. But it's not till after she gives her best Hitler speech to the Unsullied and the Dothraki about liberating the world, quote-unquote, with a never-ending war and throws Tyrion in prison that Jorah also tries to convince Jon Snow to stop Daenerys. But just to be clear, it's still Tyrion who gives Jon Snow the call to action to kill Daenerys. Jorah just wants to stop Daenerys, pump the brakes. He doesn't want to see her dead because he still loves her a lot, but he hates to see her become this really big tyrant that it seems like she's turning into. So of course, all 3 of them, Tyrion, Jon Snow, and Jorah, are thrown in prison after Jon Snow kills Daenerys, Jorah for being complicit in Jon Snow's actions, even though he wasn't the person that actually told Jon Snow to go kill Daenerys. 2, the scene of Tyrion facing the Great Council alone happens pretty much the same way, where Yara Greyjoy and Gendry are pissed at Jon for killing Daenerys and want justice, just like Grey Worm. They also needed a couple extra lines of dialogue from some of these Daenerys supporters on the council to make it a little clearer why Jon Snow had to go to the wall, because otherwise, why wouldn't he just come back after Grey Worm and the Unsullied left? So Yara was Team Daenerys during this council because she had previously offered to allow the Iron Islands independence from the Seven Kingdoms after she won the throne.
You've brought us 100 ships from the Iron Fleet, with men to sail them. In return, I expect you want me to support your claim to the throne of the Iron Islands?
Not my claim. Hers.
Oh, what's wrong with you?
So Yara owed that to Daenerys, and as you would expect, Gendry was still loyal to Daenerys because Daenerys' ploy to secure his allegiance by legitimizing him and naming him Lord of Storm's End in the Stormlands was successful, overwhelmingly successful.
I think you should be Lord of Storm's End.
That can't be, I'm a bastard.
No. You are Lord Gendry Baratheon of Storm's End, the lawful son of Robert Baratheon, because that is what I have made you.
A fitting reward for a hero. And a Lord of Storm's End who will be forever loyal to you.
See? You're not the only one who's clever.
That was the whole reason for this scene here during the banquet, so that Gendry would be a powerful player in the future that she knew would support her in all of her actions. So the logic of Jon Snow taking the black at the end would have made a little more sense if they'd given Gendry a couple lines of dialogue, implying that if justice were not served, Yara, Gendry, and the other Daenerys supporters like Grey Worm, the Unsullied, the Dothraki, would match the other forces, the Starks and the people that supported Jon Snow, in another civil war, and they didn't want another conflict right after having this one. There were a lot of people after the episode that are like, well, wait a minute, it's not like Grey Worm is going to send someone to check on Jon Snow to make sure that he's still at the Wall. Why wouldn't he just turn back right around? It's because Gendry and Yara were really upset about the fact that there wasn't any justice, so they accepted the compromise because Jon Snow was taking the Black. But also as part of this scene, number one, they make Ser Jorah take the Black, so that when Jon Snow, Ghost, and Tormund have that final scene where the gate at Castle Black is rising up and they're riding north of the Wall, just like the very first scene from the pilot episode, Ser Jorah is there with them riding north of the Wall too, just like his father, the Old Bear, so he would have become part of the Night's Watch, just like the Old Bear. But here's the thing though, when they were explaining this alternate ending, even though they knew what was going on with Jon Snow's future after this moment, in the alternate ending, they had no idea what Jorah's future was going to be with his life at the Night's Watch. Even the actor Ian Glenn is like, after this, who knows what happens to Ser Jorah, him just living out the rest of his life ranging north of the Wall. They also clarify, too, what's going on with Jon Snow here, too, in talking about this Ser Jorah alternate ending. Basically, Jon Snow has taken the Black, and he's just going to be ranging the far north for the rest of his life. Still no intention on having children or anything like that. He's honorable. He's still going to hold those vows. But like Tormund says, he has the real north in him, so they're going to be ranging all over the far north for the rest of their life. Because even though the White Walkers are dead, there's still a lot of dangerous things living north of the Wall that he'll need to protect the wildlings from. So it's not that he's just protecting the realm as part of this newly reformed Night's Watch, he's also protecting all these free folk too. So I know there was a lot of confusion about what Jon Snow was doing next. Is he leaving the Night's Watch? Is he going to be king of the free folk like Mance Rayder now? It seems to imply, based on what they've said recently, that that was not the case. Like, he's just going to be ranging the far, far north for the rest of his life. So let me know in the comments which ending you like better, the one where Ser Jorah lives and gets to live out his life at the Night's Watch, or the original ending where he dies protecting Daenerys before he watches her go full dictator. The actor Ian Glenn actually said that it's the sweet ending sparing him from watching Daenerys go to darkness, so he actually likes the original way that things went down. He was always on my death predictions list, and everything that I think that he'd done as a character up to season 7 when he returned to Daenerys made it seem like his only real remaining wish was to die serving her, which he did. So I do think his original ending as we saw it was better than the alternate one, even though it would have been cool to see him riding north of the Wall with Jon. Plus, people already complaining that too many big characters survived the battle with the White Walkers. Can you imagine if another big one had survived? It would have been ridiculous. As we learn about more deleted scenes and alternate endings, things like that as the Blu-ray gets ready to drop, I'll do videos for all that stuff, but leave your requests in the comments below. I was planning on doing a Game of Thrones Q&A for the finale today till we learned about this alternate ending, so I'm still going to do that either tomorrow or the next day after that. Leave all your questions in the comments that you want me to include in that video. Congratulations, Gara Alvarez, you're the giveaway winner from my last big Game of Thrones video. Please email me on the About page of my channel so I can get your details. While you wait for everything, click here for the trailer for the Game of Thrones Season 8 bonus episode and a big update on what's going on with the Game of Thrones prequel series, The Blood Moon Show, and click here for my Game of Thrones finale and Easter eggs video. Thank you so much for watching. Everybody stay awesome. I'll see you guys tonight.